So we're going to look at how to improve your forms, and then probably in the next video, we're going to do the automation. You want to think about how the form can improve the process for the business. Now, this form, at first, I had just asked a question with a text prompt. And here's how you customize these forms. Just go over here to the plus, and this is how it was at first with the text input. Had a text input because she really just wanted something up quickly. So now I'm going back and I am improving it because this takes a little longer. You know, that's how you do it. And that's how it was at first, how frequent. And then they would just type in here. But today I went back and I added the checkbox. I want to change, well, first of all, also, you know, I had asked for the zip code, and doing it the way that I had done it before, with a custom form, unless you do an automation, then they can put Greensboro instead of putting the zip code. And the difference is, if you're putting in the zip code, and let's say she has 50 clients in the database, and now you can do a query on the zip code and schedule, possibly, depending on, you know, their availability, but possibly schedule cleanings in that area at the same time. Whereas if you just say Greensboro, that could be anywhere in Greensboro. So that's the benefit of having a specific zip code for something like this, and for a lot of different types of service businesses where they're going out to locations. All right, so when would you like the service done? So this is the one I'm going to change. When would you like the service done? Again, this is wide open because they're just putting in data. They can put in anything. That maybe in the 5 days, but possibly 3 and all that, you know. And then again, like suppose she's trying to do a query on the customers in the database to see maybe there's a big campaign going on, an ad campaign, and wow, it's very effective. So 10 people respond. Well, some might say in 1 day, some might say in 2 days, some might say in 5 or in 1 month. This way, you got to actually scan through all of the customers and find out the time frame, maybe to see who you want to call first. Make sure there's nothing that you're talking about tomorrow. And if you can sort it by that information, then it's easier than reading through everything and hoping you don't miss something. So we want to make this a drop down, and we're going to use the checkbox that I just showed you. Drag it over there, click on it, highlight it. So we come over here and we're going to name it when do you need. So then go ahead and click on options, and we're going to say within the week. So then we're just going to make sure it's highlighted. Come back over here to content, go down here to required, and now it's mandatory. You know when you see the asterisk right there. What is the zip code? That's also mandatory. And company name, don't really need. And that's it. So now we're ready to go. So that is how you make a form. That's how you improve a form. You always want to think about if you're the customer, the client, your client, who is, I mean, you want to think about the customer too, because if you ask for too much information that's unnecessary, the more they got to fill in, and you got to think of the nature of the business and the reason for the form, the more they got to fill in, the less likely they are to complete it. But in a situation like this, when it's a cleaning quote, then they obviously know all of this information is relevant, and I'm giving them the information for a quote. So the more detailed, the more accurate the quote. But let's say if it was a lead magnet form and you're trying to just collect their emails and you're trying to give them something to get the emails, then the more you require from them, the more likely they like, man, forget this, it ain't worth all of this, unless it's valuable enough that it's worth all that you can ask these questions. But that's stuff you got to think about. But as far as how you construct the form, think about what can they do with the information that the form is collecting. You want the information, the data, as usable as possible to a degree. You can go overboard. But you want the data to be very usable. Think of the ways that the business might want to use the data. And you can ask them, in what ways would you like to use this data, be able to use this data? Or could you say, what information do you want to collect? I don't know. I guess the email. Well, let me ask you a better question. What things would you like to be able to do with a list of customers? What information would it benefit you to know about your customer in the database? And then you might have to be the one to think of the different things that they need to collect, because they're in a different type of mindset. Like most of the time, like providing the service, not really thinking about this type of stuff. That's why you can get paid. All right, so I'll check y'all in the next video when we go into automation, because now you have to automate in order, like, we got to put well, let me show you. Make sure I save this. You can never save enough. Yeah, it's just a good habit to keep saving. Like, instead of assuming you already saved it, just save it again. Well, anyway, let me go out here and I'm gonna show you. So in the contacts, as it is right now, then see over here where it says tags. If we don't add tags, then basically those options for the time frame, they're not going to mean as much. So we need these tags assigned to those different values. All right, so that's the next video.